Welcome to another edition of Business Redefined. This is your show dedicated to financial literacy. We began the year by talking about money market funds. We went to equities and fixed income. We talked about real estate investment trusts. And today we want to speak to another diverse range of asset classes, FX, commodities, indices. And we're privileged to have Brian Myers, the Chief Executive Officer at Equity Brokerage. Welcome on set.
Thank you for having me.
Incidentally, we're having this conversation about 4 years, almost to the date, since the Capital Markets Authority did issue their regulations for online FX trading. And just keen to get your perspective. How has it been ever since?
Yeah, it's been a journey. We were the first brokerage in Kenya to get the online Forex dealing license. We worked closely with those guys to bring that to the foray. And then since then, we've been trying to establish the market, making sure that people in Kenya can trade safely, make sure they can trade with a wide range of products. And it's been very fruitful. You know, we've seen the amount of Kenyans that are trading in these markets coming on day after day, month after month. And it's an incredibly exciting place to be, as long as it's done in a safe way, as you're saying. So it was key that there had to be this regulation established. And that brokers and people that trade with brokers that are regulated.
Ever since COVID happened, how has it been? Because a lot of people have been scouting for opportunities, especially with the shakeout that we saw in the equities market. Yeah. How has it been on your side?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because in the markets, there's obviously been a kind of a perfect storm for the financial markets during coronavirus across the world. So there's been a lot of people that were, unfortunately, they lost their jobs. Unfortunately, they were looking for a second income, which had to be online, right? A lot of people were had to be at home, so they were coming to look at where can we do this? Where can we have a side hustle, or where can we have a first or a second income? And that was, of course, within trading. So they came to us, and they were in their droves trying to look for this and looking for someone that was established and secure to be able to do this. And right now, at this point in time, we're probably onboarding 15 times more people than we did prior to the coronavirus. So, you know, they were looking for very established opportunities, right? That seemed big opportunities even when the stock markets were collapsing. So we had a lot of people that were shorting the airplane stocks. We had people that wanted to trade Zoom, you know, the video conferencing, because they were aware that this is the sort of product that should do very, very well during those times. So in any environment, there's a lot of opportunities in the market. FX was moving around, of course, has been. Sterling, as example, took some big hits after Brexit and continues to do so. Gold became a very established market because people were looking for something secure and a safe haven. So we saw a big amount of people coming into the markets and big volumes increasing in certain products as well.
And you're not only in FX, you're also in commodities, indices. How is that playing out?
Yeah, so I think our number one product is gold. So more people are trading gold than currencies or share CFDs, or, you know, we also have NSE stock futures. We offer Safaricom. People love to trade gold at the minute in Kenya, and it's because it's very ranged at the minute. People are making very good money trading it as well. It's quite an established range and has been for the last few months. They also like to trade oil at the minute as well. Euro dollar is a big currency that people are trading, and sterling dollar as well. So yeah, they're trying to be more diverse, which I think is a fantastic thing. When I first came to Kenya 3 years ago, people were mainly trading local equities plus bonds. And the world's open now to Kenyans. You know, what we've done at ZGM Securities, at FX Pesa, is open the door to all of these other opportunities, as you're saying, commodities, shares, FX, stock futures. So you can get the return in whatever instrument or whatever region you want to go into. You can trade through us, European stocks, US stocks, you know, indices. So the returns for sure are there if you know where to look.
Fantastic. And one of the questions we always get whenever I talk about asset classes is the ease of entry and exit.
Yep.
How is it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? We've got, just across the board, to your question, we're giving people the ability to come with a very small amount of funds to get to enter trading. They can make money with the markets going up. They can make money with the markets going down. They can enter a leverage position of their choosing, if they want leverage or they don't want leverage. You know, just that we've democratized trading. It's given people the ability of all experiences. Whether you're a very experienced trader, we've got plenty for you. Whether you're a brand new trader, We'll make it very easy for you to come on board, fund your account, withdraw the money from your account. It's just so easy now for people to do whatever they want to do with global trading. Exit and entry levels and everything is just so simple.
And when we talk about FX, one of the concerns I get out here is that there's a lot of volatility in the FX market. And sometimes you actually see that. Yeah. If you look at Q4 last year, we saw the shilling getting roiled, then it came back up. Yeah. How does someone go about their risk management strategy here?
So, believe it or not, once you've established yourself as a trader, you love the volatility, right? Because you embrace it, you want the volatility. But when you're starting out, I think what I would always recommend to people is that they come on board and they learn a couple of products or instruments, FX, currencies that they're interested in, read more about it, and only allocate a certain amount of your deposit towards it. And also, I would also recommend practice trading on demo with virtual funds. In which case you can use lots of different strategies, you can understand from us technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and then you can always pick what leverage you want to use, whether you want to use 400 to 1 or you want to use less, whatever it is you want to use, and start slowly over time. And that's the best traders that I've always seen have done that and traded when it's within ranges and then opened themselves up to a bit more risk over time, grown their portfolio over time as well, and then they're the ones that really do embrace the volatility, they love it.
When you talk about fundamental technical analysis, of course, fundamental, you're looking at the more macro view. Yeah. Technical, you're looking at the price movements. Yeah. Just give us a little more insight into that.
So technical analysis is an art form in itself. There's people out there that live and breathe technical analysis, particularly in the currency markets. If you join our Telegram channels, our FX Press Telegram channels, we're educating daily on technical analysis. So we'll give lines and levels of expected resistant lines or support lines. We're always educating on what these things mean. And for me personally, I do look at these things. I always look at where there's been a lot of buying, a lot of selling historically in the products that I'm trading, but I also couple it with fundamentals. Fundamentals, as you rightly say, are where you're looking at, okay, what is coming in the news that's going to affect the markets? Is there a jobs report in the US that we expect a strong or a negative jobs report? What does that mean for dollar as a currency? These are the things that sound complex when you're first starting out, but they're not once you really educate yourself. Kenyans are spending 7 to 8 hours a day on their mobile phones at the minute, and we say, if you can allocate some of that time to learning these things, it's going to really benefit your financial future. We're here to really improve financial literacy rates, and we want to educate people in exactly these things, and the more they learn them, the better they get at these, the better their financial future is going to be. And
talking about the financial literacy bit now, what are some of the sources of knowledge that you would point out? Because there's a lot, if you go out and Google FX analysis, you get a lot of content. But how does someone begin now to disseminate that this is what is pointing me in the right direction?
Well, we're relentless FX Press in what in the content that we're trying to get out. We're trying to make sure that people are getting the right thing. So what I'm seeing at the minute, unfortunately, is there's a lot of noise, particularly on social media, of people that don't really understand the markets, are very, very new to the markets, and they're promising very, very high returns in a small amount of time. The CMA released a cautionary statement even last week advising against a company that was offering 400% returns in 6 hours. So part of financial literacy and what we do is that we are consistently putting out content like podcasts, emails, webinars, seminars. We're just relentless in what we're doing daily to try and say to people, look, slow down, realise this is a marathon, not a sprint. There's so much to learn, but you've got to learn the right things. You've got to learn the things that are going to educate you for the long term. The only people that are going to make money in quick, get-rich-quick schemes are the people selling them. Slow down and learn. And here's all of the education that we've got, and we're going to walk you through it day after day to make sure that you actually understand these things for the long term.
Investors would be keen to understand if I want to come in the short horizon, if I want to come in the long term, what are some of the expectations I have in terms of return? How do I place myself in terms of positioning?
You should have a really strong blend, a diversification of short and long term. So a lot of our clients look at NSE stocks for the long term. They've got Safaricom, they've held for a long period of time. On top of that, they're trading Safaricom short term through our stock futures that we offer. Then they're also looking to trade gold in the short term, maybe daily or for a week period. They're definitely trading in and out of currencies in the short term as well. They might hold a stock CFD for 2-3 weeks. It's a blend between that short-term and long-term that I've always seen being the most successful. And also people get to protect their positions because they can make money in falling markets, right? When you're just trading long-term solely, NSE stocks, for example, you're kind of at the whim of the economy. Is the economy going to push the local stock market up? When you trade other products as well that we offer, you can make money in any market condition, be it going up, be it going down.
And in a market as liquid as when I was looking at the latest BIS report is that $6 trillion. One of the concerns that pervades out here is that there are such heavy institutional players. They could easily overrun with small retail players. Is that concern valid?
In the FX market, if there's people like you and I that want to trade FX, because it's so liquid, because there is just so many players across the world and 6 trillion in volume going through, it's very, very unlikely that institutional players can ever come in and bulldoze you. If you trade with a regulated broker that is pulling prices from very reputable liquidity providers, as we are at FX Pesa, you've got real pricing that you can trade, and you should never be worried about anything like that, in my opinion.
Let's go back to the structure that was provided in the regulations, and I think you play on the non-dealing space. Just explain that to us.
For us, if to offer an advisory service where you simply just give someone your money and sit back and hope that they make money for you, you're not learning, you're not understanding anything for your financial future, you're just trusting someone else with your money consistently. What we're doing here is that on a no dealing desk basis, on a non-advisory basis, we provide you with all the education in the platform to make you successful in yourself, and ultimately you're the person that's putting the trades on, and at that point in time we want you to win because we are not taking an opposite position to you. So a lot of the brokerages that people trade with across the world, when they trade against the people that, it's a big conflict of interest, of course. You trade against the person you're trading against. On a non-dealing desk capacity, we're giving you the education because we want you to win, because we make money when there's a lot of volume coming through the company.
You alluded to something which was very important. Last week, the market regulator issued a notice about one of the players. And the FX market has been trying to shrug off this toxicity of such players. How much of a step forward do you think you're making as far as that is concerned?
We're making huge steps forwards. I've been coming to Kenya regularly for the last 3 years, so I've seen a big step change in the last 3 years, but there's still a way to go. So when there's these companies coming through and they're promising 400% return in 6 hours, unfortunately there's too many people that believe it, and they're already seeing what they're going to buy with the money that they're going to make in 6 hours' time, right? So it's about financial literacy to make sure that we can tackle this, and it's more conversations like this. I hope that there's more companies and more people that are going to have conversations exactly like this to warn the public, because ultimately what I don't want to see, which is what happened in Kenya 5 or 6 years ago, is that there was very unscrupulous brokerages setting up, taking people's money, never allowing withdrawals, and running off with their money, right? And at that point, the industry gets tarnished by these bad players. We can't let that happen again.
Right, and that point by Brian Myers takes us to a short break. We shall be back with a lot more on this conversation. Don't touch the dial.
Are you on Nyota? Pata channel sita zaidi when you pay for more than 1 month on Nyota Bouquet. Enjoy more entertainment on Nyota.
Hey, now that's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? We add color to everything, to every day and every dish, because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Manage your card from your phone 24/7. Freeze and unfreeze lost or stolen cards. Manage your limit and change your PIN on the Absa mobile banking app. Another digital innovation that gets things done. That's Africanacity, that's Absa.
Miaka 20 safari ilianza ya kutuunganisha kama
Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
I have to admit, I didn't like sukuma wiki when I was growing up, but now I've created a way to make sukuma wiki tastier and meatier. I simply add 2 Royco beef cubes, and the end result is a rich, meaty flavor. And today, I have brought along my harshest food critics for a taste test. My kids.
More, please.
Royco beef cubes. Add 2 small cubes for a big, meaty taste.
Wow, thank you for your time.
And do you have any question for us?
How juicy.
Juicy. Juicy. Niko fiti maze maze niko fiti majamana mabenti wako fiti. Juicy fruit, juicy fruit, juicy fruit, juicy fruit.
Kingdom Bank, a subsidiary of the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, welcomes you and your business to all our 17 branches in key towns across Kenya. Come open your business account today and get immediate access to mobile banking, debit card services, and more. In addition, you can earn a good interest on your deposit. Let's do business together. We too are you.
Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
I'm a teacher by training. I'm an associate professor, so I emphasize a lot in giving knowledge. So I started using Exuvians in 1998 when I was still doing my research and teaching at the universities in Denmark. But when I was trying to get a permanent tenure, I got frustrated at the university. They didn't give me the tenure. I decided to leave university and move into something else. I decided that actually the brand that I had used for so many years, which I believed in, should be the thing I should actually bring to Kenya. Instead of me coming back to Kenya, I was staying in Denmark looking for other jobs. In the beginning, when I made the conclusion that I want to get into Exuvians, what I did was to contact Neostrata. And then, of course, they didn't accept. I sent them an email, they didn't reply. I sent them another email, they didn't reply. So what I did was actually to contact my friends in Copenhagen who are distributors of the Exuvians. And I told them, hey guys, I'm trying to get to the Neostrata because I want to apply for the distribution of Exuvians in Kenya. So I sent Catherine an email, and within a second, I got an answer back. And what she told me was like, we don't deal with individuals. We deal with companies, and you don't have a company. I knew that I was going to move to Kenya. I've been away for 23 years. I didn't know anyone. I knew absolutely no one. Where nobody knows the brand. They don't know what is Exuvians. I believed in my project, and I believed in the brand. And your imagination is the Kenya you left 23 years ago. But actually, when you come, everything has changed. People have changed. The mentality has changed. So it was tough. And I came from a place of where money was not an issue. But then suddenly, I have to think about basic things in life. So I lost everything. So what happened? I went to ABSA. They were willing to give me a loan without any collateral. I'm actually very happy that they are thinking and considering women, and they want to support us as women, and they want to see women succeed and prosper. If you want something so bad, you get it in the end.
Lucozade. Energy to get through it.
Welcome back to this conversation on Business Redefined, where we are discussing an array of asset classes, whether it's FX, commodities, indices, with Brian Myers, the CEO at Equity Brokerage. Welcome back on set.
Thank you.
If I wanted to get started, I'm sure there's a viewer who's wondering, you're discussing all these interesting things, whether it's FX, commodities, etc. Yeah. How do I get started?
I would recommend that you spend some time actually going to understand the brokerage that you're trading with. So we're sat here now on floor 12 in Delta Towers in Westlands. We've got a big workshop that we're consistently giving webinars. We're always doing seminars. So the key for me, we always say that strip out the noise, The main thing here to do is to save, invest, learn and be patient, right? So what we're always looking at is for people to work out what they want to allocate to their trading. We want them to learn, consistently learn, and then when they're ready, they've practiced, they understand the product they want to trade, come to us, we'll work out what the best account for you is, what the best instruments for you to trade are. You can work out yourself how much you want to credit the account with. There's no minimum deposit. So we work through all of that with you. We've got a large team all across Kenya. We're here in Nairobi, we're in Thika, we're in Kitengela, we're in Nakuru. So come, see us, speak to us. If you can't do that, get on our webinars, and then we'll onboard you. You can fund your account, and when you're ready, that's when you can start trading.
Speaking about that, how do your spreads look like?
We have people that want the spread within what they're trading. So if they're trading things like euro dollar, they want the 1.4 to 1.6 euro dollar spread. They want that within their trading profile. We have others that would want a tighter spread and then charge commission. So we have a premier account, as it's called here, which is spreads from 0.0 pips on euro dollar. So again, it's really just listening to clients and understanding what is it that they want and making sure as a company we're offering anything that they need, and that's what we aim to do.
You say you want to train 1 million Kenyans. How exactly are you doing that?
We're making sure that we're relentless in all the content that we're sending out, and I think even at the beginning of this year we went on a virtual roadshow of universities. We went and spoke to University of Nairobi and Strathmore and a lot of other universities. Because it's so important to us that we think that there's a gap in financial literacy that particularly the young aren't being taught kind of basic financial literacy kind of themes even in school. We think they're being let down as pupils. This isn't just in Kenya, this is across the world. So what we're trying to do is making sure that we can pick this up and come and speak to people across Kenya. And the reason why we think it's very, very important is 2 years ago there was a Standard & Poor survey. In the survey, they went all across the world. They spoke to many different countries and they asked quite basic questions such as, do you understand diversification of risk? If you have a loan, do you understand how much you're going to repay in the loan? And in Europe, you'd probably get about 70 to 75% of people would be literate. And in Kenya, it was 38% of people because they're not getting this education. So we've honed in on that, and we know as well that more than 70% of Kenyans enter their retirement with less than 1 million shillings. So that's 1 million shillings for retirement to help your family. Hopefully you've got your mum and dad still, you're helping your children. It's just not enough. And the only way to counter this and to improve that financial freedom is to improve literacy rates.
What would you say to the Kenyan who is seated somewhere thinking, I want the safe harbor of fixed income securities and maybe my savings account, and here you are talking about the kind of asset classes you're talking about?
You should definitely have some sort of fixed income products within your portfolio. I have, and I would recommend it, right? But when you take a stand back from what's happened across the world over the last couple of years, and you see the returns that you're getting from some of these fixed incomes, or you're seeing some of the interest rates you get in the bank compared to some of the returns that people were getting in the markets, you don't have that kind of opportunity for big returns when you're solely looking at fixed income. So diversify, have fixed income, have longer term plays in stocks, have some short term gains as well. Just make sure you're doing it all in the right way. And these are the sort of things that we want to teach in our financial literacy courses.
And there's a lot of appetite locally about offshore equities. Yeah. And that's because if you look at our market here, and the fact is that there's a bit of concentration risk. Yeah. What are some of the opportunities you see out there, and how can we tap into them?
Yeah. So when you're looking for a return, you're looking for, if you can't, in a stable environment, you couldn't have had a better return than in the US markets over the last 10 years. They've returned, obviously, as always, it fluctuates, but they've returned about 14% annualized. So those that haven't had access to that have obviously had significant reduction in returns, right? 14% compounded over 10 years is a hell of a lot of money on whatever you invest in, of course. So it's the people that have had access to be able to trade Apple, Amazon, Tesla. These stocks that have obviously, they've done well before coronavirus, but they've also done well during, because these are the technology that's in people's hands during that time. So it's to have access to these things, and ETFs, we offer ETF CFDs here as well, exchange traded funds to enable you to invest in a whole economy. They're the opportunities that have been the best opportunities over this period of time. And Kenyans that have only traded local equities plus bonds, it just hasn't been fair. The door hasn't been open to them, right? And that's where FX Pesa has been plugged in. We've come in and given the opportunity to all of these products, global multi-asset products for Kenyans.
And a lot of people I speak to looking at the frontier market currencies, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, are having a lot of conversation now around how do we factor in the debt risk that comes with the macro environment. Just curious to know your thoughts around this.
We're not offering exotic crosses on currencies where we take into African currencies too much because of that, because it's sometimes it's too volatile and you're not understanding the kind of the macro, and there's no real science behind the technical analysis on them sometimes as well, because they're just so volatile. So my recommendation for people that are trading short term would be to stay within the majors, to stay within euro dollar, to stay within Swiss franc, to stay within tried and tested, very liquid markets. The more people that are trading these markets, the more stability you're going to have when you trade them.
Interesting you talk about that. I remember sometime in 2015 I was following the FX market, and I don't know that you followed the Swiss franc shock. How much of an impact did that have?
I lived and breathed it. I remember it well. It's one of those places you always know where you were when it happened, right? I was in Canada, and was woken up as it happened. This was profoundly impactful to a lot of brokerages, because with the Swiss franc being pegged, no one believed that they ever had to manage their risk or even think of the downside on the franc.
I didn't.
But no one did, right? No one did. It's been a massive learning curve for everyone. And when the Swiss bank came out and removed the peg without anyone being aware, you had huge positions going against brokerages, and a lot of brokerages lost substantial amount of money. And I'm talking hundreds of millions was happening across the world. So the thing with that is, I think that it tightened up the governance in the space. Everyone now, that the risk appetite and the risk profiles is a lot stronger, and we like to think that black swan events, as they call these things, will be few and far between. They will come for sure. And that's all the more point why I would always recommend trading with a regulated broker.
1 year into COVID-19, it remains largely an unknown in the investment landscape, I'll tell you. Like right now, Kenya is experiencing the fourth wave. If you speak to many people out there, they're wondering what becomes of our investment landscape. What's your outlook like?
Everyone's doing their best to deal with it. Everyone's doing their best to contain it. I think when you look at you've got to look at certain industries of how they're going to impact this. I would argue that I would never see an event like this that would have sped up the adoption of technology as much as coronavirus has. Okay, so when we look at our industry, I think it's probably been the last 2 years has probably jumped forward 10 years in Kenya, because people now really want to have that trading app in their hands. They want that instantaneous payments. All the payments providers that are coming into Kenya, and the solutions that they're bringing as well. There's massive scale investment coming into fintechs because of coronavirus and the impact it had. Those that are solving the problems that coronavirus brought are going to do exceptionally well as companies going forward. So I think there will be a big shift away from some of the established and traditional business that you saw in Kenya, much more into fintech.
I don't know that you're a fan or you follow the Jackson Hole. It's coming up at the end of this month. I don't know what you expect, because many times pronouncements from there rattle the markets in one way or another.
But less so at the minute, less so. I think traders, historically it has, all the things come from Jackson Hole, and things like the jobs reports that would come from the US. I think that the markets are always factoring these things weeks in advance, and what's happened now is that nothing's really shook the markets. You might have seen in anything that you follow, whatever asset class that you're in, if anything if currency has been affected by some sort of news that's economic news that would come out from an event like this, or if gold has been impacted, or oil went negative last year, these crazy events that have impacted them, but then the strength has come back because there are so many people that are trading now. The whole world is trading, and the whole world is coming in and investing into these products. So anything that I've seen up to this point, nothing's really fazed me in anything that's come forward. It hasn't, because even when you're seeing these bizarre events, such as oil going negative, the rebound is just so strong. You even saw in Bitcoin, a lot of people trade Bitcoin over the world, and you saw the currency markets getting very impacted over the last couple of months. Again, the strength has come back into those over the last few trading days. So just everything has found strength because there's just so many people that are flooding into the markets at the minute. So yeah, these events are little hiccups on the journey at the minute. There's just a lot of strength there.
Kenya is heading into an election, and we have an experience here where it kind of really rattles the markets. Yeah. And people playing in the investment space are wondering, how do we hedge, if I could say? How do we cushion ourselves? Yeah. What advice would you give?
Think global. Think global. You know, this is another reason as well. You know, I know you guys with the election, it's just so important, and you know, a lot of industry kind of grinds to a halt in the lead up to the elections, unfortunately. But it doesn't across the world, right? So if you come to FX Pesa, you think global. Your local election is not going to impact where gold is going to go globally. It's not going to impact where Eurodollar is going to go. It's not going to impact silver. It's not going to impact where if Apple's going to have a strong earnings report. You know, that's the thing. And then once there's more stability in Kenya, maybe Apple is plateauing, and then you can start coming back into NSE stock futures. It's such a good question, because people in Kenya were too tied to the economy. They were too tied to what was going on in the economy, so that impacted their returns. If you think global and you think multi-asset, nothing can stop you.
Unfortunately, that takes us to the close of our conversation with Brian Myers, focusing on an array of issues from FX commodities to indices. We shall continue highlighting discussions around asset classes for the benefits of our financial literacy. So stay tuned to Business Redefined.
Presenting the new Haptic Bathroom Cleaner. Compared to ordinary detergents, its thick formulation gives you superior cleaning and kills 99.9% of germs and viruses all around the bathroom. Blue
for the toilet
and red
for the bathroom.
Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
For an exclusive fragrance experience, try Nivea Men Deep